Hello, my name is Vinayak, and in this chapter we would understand a couple of terms related to Open Maya, and after that we would try to find the DAG path of one of the objects from the Maya scene. At this point we don't know what is DAG path, but we would see. So the first term here we are going to understand is DAG, and the majority of the Maya scene architecture is based on DAG. DAG stands for Directed Acyclic Graph. A graph that is directed and there is no cycle in it. A rooted tree is one of the best examples of a directed acyclic graph. Maya scene DAG is composed of two type of nodes, and we would call them two type of different DAG nodes. DAG node type 1 and DAG node type 2. And what are those type 1 and type 2? The type 1 is transform node and type 2 is shape node. So whenever we create a sphere inside Maya, it is represented by two types of node inside DAG. One is the shape node, which defines the shape or geometry of the node or the mesh. And then there is a transform node, which defines translation, rotation, and scale of an object. So the deeper or the inner node is the shape node, and the outer node is transform node. Now we would understand one more graph terminology, which is DG, and DG here stands for dependency graph. And the nodes of dependency graph are dependency graph nodes. So dependency graph is also a directed graph, but it can be cyclic, unlike DAG, which can't be cyclic. Now we would understand one more term, which is DAG path, but before that I would make some space in the board. So DAG path. DAG path is a path from the root up to that particular object. Without DAG path, Maya has no idea where that particular object is in world space. For example, if there is a cube, polycube, which is a parent of polyplane, which is a parent of sphere. And for Maya to determine the world space location of this sphere, it would have to have the complete DAG path. And the reason why is because if the cube is translated to x, y, and z, 5x, 0y, and 5z, and this is translated at 505 again. This is translated as 1, 1, 1. So this 1, 1, 1 is not enough to find out the location of the sphere in the world space. So if this is the world space, your cube is here, which is the parent of plane. Your plane is here and the sphere is here. So it Maya needs the complete DAG path to determine this location of this sphere. Now we will see the same thing with another example, and which we would see in Maya as well. So if we have a scenario where we have three campuses, there is a college which has three campuses. Each campus has two rooms and each room has two computers. So to find out the DAG path of this computer 1, we would have to first go to the college, then campus 1. I should name them 1, campus 1, campus 2, and campus 3. So we would go to campus 1 first, and then we would go to room 1 of campus 1, and then computer 1. So this is the complete DAG path of computer 1. Now, before we go inside Maya and start writing some code, we would understand two more terms, which are mObject and mSelectionList. So, what is mObject? mObject is a specialized handle. I'm showing it using a hand symbol. So it's a specialized handle that can access Maya's internal modeling, lighting, and rendering objects, and these objects are commonly called as model objects. And that's where the term mObject came from. mObject. So now we know what is mObject. Now we would understand the term mSelectionList. mSelectionList is a specialized selection list in which we can add and remove any object from Maya scene, and we can remove that object from the list as well, and then we can, if we want, we can walk through the list. So this is a special selection list, and which is M selection list, which can select model objects or any object inside the scene. So if this is the sphere, we can add this sphere inside the selection list. And this selection list has index as well. So the first location is the 0th location, first location, second location, third location, and so on. So when we use mObjects and mSelectionList inside Maya, we would create them using classes. So mObject class, which would come from Maya dot open Maya, p is small here, lowercase, open Maya dot mObject. This class provides us method of creating mObjects plus some more methods. And in the same way, mSelectionList comes from Maya dot open Maya dot mSelectionList. So mSelectionList is a class that provides us the methods of creating a selection list, adding objects inside selection list, removing object from selection list, walking through the selection list. So we can walk through the complete selection list. Plus, it also provides various very useful methods which we will use in the later example. Now we will go to Maya and start writing some code to determine the DAG path of one of the objects from the scene. So now we are in Maya environment, and I have created the scene exactly what we discussed in the illustration example. So we have college, and there are 3 campuses inside it, and each campus has 2 rooms, and each room has 2 computers. And our goal is to determine or find the DAG path of this computer 1 object. So I would go in the script editor, and the first thing I'm going to do is I would import Maya dot open Maya module, and I will import it as open Maya. I will increase the size a little bit so that you can see it better. So we are importing the OpenMaya module, and I'm importing it as OpenMaya, and which has uppercase O and uppercase M. After that, I would create a special selection list, and I will call it as M selection list, and this would be OpenMaya dot M selection list type object. So this is an M selection list type object, and we are calling it as small m or lowercase m selection list. So we have created a selection list now, and then I want to add an object from the scene inside that selection list. So I would call a function mSelectionList dot add, and I would give the name of the object, and we see the name of the object is computer 01, which I know that would not work, and I would explain you why. So let's try to execute this, and it has given me an error that object does not exist. And the reason why we got this error, because there are several computer 1 objects inside this scene, and when we execute or when we give a command to add computer 01, Maya can't find which computer 1 it is supposed to add. So I would give the name, or that much name, which would be enough to differentiate this computer 1 object. So when we select any of the computer object or the computer meshes inside Maya scene, it gives us this name in script editor, and that is the name which is long enough, or which has information enough to differentiate a particular mesh or object inside the Maya scene. So I would copy that, I would paste it here, which is not the complete path because it doesn't contain the root, but it's a certain path which has enough information to differentiate a particular object. So I executed that command, and it added that object inside mSelectionList. Now I would create another type of object, which I will call it mDAGPath, and which would be an mDAGPath type of object, and these objects are capable of containing the DAG paths of any object inside the Maya scene. So we have created mDAGPath type object. Now we would request mSelectionList to give us the DAG path, and for that we would use a function get DAG path, and then we would say 0, comma m DAG path, which means give me the DAG path which exists at the 0th location of the M selection list. So because we have only added one object inside M selection list, the first addition goes at the 0th location, the second addition goes at the first location, and it goes on. So we want the DAG path of the 0th object of the selection list. That's why we provided 0. And where we want the selection list to give us the DAG path, which is inside mDAG path. So we have executed the command and it has given us the mDAG or the DAG path of the object. But we want to verify it. We don't know anything yet. So I would type mDAG path and I would use a function which is full path name. And as soon as I execute it, I would execute it like this, print mDAG path full name, and it has given me the complete DAG path of computer 01, which started from college, campus, room 01, and computer 01. So this is the DAG path which it gave us. And we can see it that I did not provide college here because I did not provide the complete DAG path to this selection list. I just provided the object or the name of the object which was long enough or which has enough information to differentiate it. So we have already gotten the DAG path. We would do one more thing here. We would create mobj object which is openmaya.m object type. It's a special handle model object, and then we would request M selection list to give us the dependency node of the object which is at the 0th location. For that we are going to use a function get depend node 0 and where to give m obj. Execute that. It has given me the dependency node. I want to verify it. M obj dot API type string is the function. If I would have called API type, it would have given me some numbers, which is the number for a particular type of node inside Maya. I would execute that and it told me that it's a transform type of node. So that is how we get the DAG path of an object. And now we would go in the illustration section back and we would see again what exactly we did using a couple of lines of code in Maya. So first of all, we created a specialized selection list which we called M selection list. Small m selection list. In the second line of code, we added an object from the scene inside this M selection list. We grabbed an object from the scene and added that at the 0th location of the M selection list. In the third line of code, we created an object which is capable of containing the DAG paths of the objects, and we called it mDAG path. In the next line of code, we requested M selection list to give us the DAG path of the object that exists inside the 0th location. So it gave us the DAG path of the object which exists here at the 0th location. So we got the DAG path. After that, we created a specialized handle that we call M object, model object. In the next line of code, we requested mSelectionList to give us the dependency node of the object that exists at the 0th location. And then, because we got that dependency node information inside M object, that technically means we attach this handle to that object, and now we can access different information about this object. So that is how we get the DAG path of a certain object inside the Maya scene, and now we understand what is mSelectionList, what is M object, what is MDAG path, dependency graph, and dependency graph nodes. So that is it for now, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.